The billionaire was not blind, he was watching every betrayal from behind dark glasses. Nathan Whitmore had survived the crash. That was the truth. The lie was what came after. When his sports car spun off the rain-slick highway and slammed into the guardrail, the whole city believed the Hotel King had lost his sight forever. Doctors whispered. Business partners panicked, reporters waited outside the private hospital. But Nathan's eyes were perfectly fine. And only one man knew it. His old friend Dr. Samuel Reed stood beside his bed when Nathan gripped his wrist and said, "Write the report, total blindness. Irreversible damage." Samuel stared at him. "Nathan, this could destroy your company." Nathan's voice dropped. "I need to know who stays when the lights go out." Because hours earlier, while Nathan lay with bandages over his eyes, he had heard his fiancée Vanessa Cross speaking beside his hospital bed. Not asking if he would live. Not asking if he was in pain. She asked about his trust fund. She asked who would control his accounts if he became helpless. So Nathan returned to his marble mansion with black glasses, a cane, and a secret colder than the rain that night. Vanessa smiled in public. She kissed his cheek for cameras. But inside the house, she watched his twin sons Caleb and Connor like they were obstacles. And the only person who treated them with real tenderness was Maya Brooks, the quiet housemaid Vanessa barely considered human. Nathan could see it all. Every fake smile. Every cruel whisper. Every touch of kindness. And soon Vanessa would learn the most dangerous mistake in the world. Never betray a man who is only pretending not to see. The first week Vanessa Cross still performed. She stood beside Nathan Whitmore in the grand foyer, one hand resting softly on his shoulder, her diamond ring flashing under the chandelier lights. When visitors came, her voice turned warm and trembling. "He is so brave," she would say. "We are taking this one day at a time." Then, she would lean down and kiss Nathan's cheek. A perfect fiancée. A perfect future wife. A perfect lie. But when the front doors closed and the last guest drove away, the warmth vanished from her face like someone had blown out a candle. Nathan heard it first. The change in her breathing. The sharp click of her heels across the marble floor. The silence before she spoke. "Don't sit there," Vanessa snapped. Little Caleb froze near the piano bench, his toy car clutched in both hands. Connor stood behind him, his lower lip already trembling. Nathan sat in his leather chair near the fireplace, black glasses covering his eyes, cane resting against his knee. His head was turned slightly toward the window, as if he were lost in darkness. But he saw everything. He saw Vanessa's painted smile twist into disgust. He saw her bend toward the boys, not like a mother, not even like a stranger, but like someone staring at a stain on an expensive rug. "This room is not a playground," she hissed. "Do you understand me? Your father may not be able to see the mess you make anymore, but I can." Caleb whispered. "We're sorry." Vanessa stepped closer. "No. You're not sorry. You're spoiled." Connor backed into the edge of the sofa. Nathan's hand tightened around the armrest. Every instinct in his body screamed at him to stand up. To tear off the glasses. To end the performance right there. But he stayed still. Because Vanessa was finally showing the truth. And the truth was uglier than he had imagined. From the hallway, Maya Brooks appeared with a folded stack of children's blankets in her arms. She stopped the moment she saw the boys' faces. "Miss Cross," Maya said gently, "they were only playing for a minute. I can take them upstairs." Vanessa turned on her. The softness she used in public was gone. Her eyes were cold. Her voice dropped low enough that the children leaned closer to Maya without thinking. "You can take them anywhere you want," Vanessa said. "As long as they are not in my way." Maya swallowed. "They're just children." Vanessa laughed once. A dry, cruel sound. "They are his children," she said, glancing toward Nathan. "Not mine." The words landed like a slap. Nathan felt them in his chest. Vanessa walked to the mirror and fixed one loose strand of hair as if the conversation bored her. "I have spent weeks pretending this house is still normal," she said. "Pretending I am happy to be trapped with a blind man and two little boys who cry every time someone raises a voice." Caleb began to sob. Maya dropped the blankets and knelt immediately, pulling both boys into her arms. Vanessa stared down at them. "Oh, look at that," she whispered. "The maid thinks she's family." Maya held the boys tighter. Nathan saw her hands shaking. But she did not move away. Vanessa stepped closer, her heels clicking like a countdown. "Listen carefully, Maya. This house is changing. Nathan cannot run it anymore. Soon I will be Mrs. Whitmore. And when that happens, people like you do not get comfortable here." Maya's eyes lifted. For one second, fear flickered across her face. Then she looked at the boys. And fear became something stronger. "I understand," she said quietly. But Nathan knew she did not mean surrender. He had spent his life reading contracts, rivals, and rooms full of powerful men. Now he was reading something far more important. Vanessa had no loving her. Maya did? And from behind the dark glass Nathan Whitmore made a silent promise. He would let Vanessa keep talking. He would let her believe she had won. Because the more powerful she felt, the more careless she became. And soon every cruel word would become the very thing that destroyed her. The next morning, the mansion looked peaceful. Sunlight spilled across the marble floors. The silver trays were polished. Fresh flowers stood in tall glass vases. From the outside, Nathan Whitmore's home still looked like a palace. But inside, something rotten was spreading. Maya Brooks felt it the moment she stepped into the dining room. Vanessa Cross was sitting at the head of the table wearing a white silk robe and reading a magazine she was not really reading. Caleb and Connor sat in their booster seats pushing small pieces of toast around their plates. They were quiet now. Too quiet for 2-year-old boys. Maya knew that silence. It was the silence children learned when laughter had become dangerous. "Good morning," Maya said softly, placing a small bowl of fruit between the twins. Connor reached for a strawberry. Before his little fingers touched it, Vanessa's voice cut through the room. "Don't let them eat like animals." Maya froze. Connor pulled his hand back. Vanessa slowly lowered the magazine. Her eyes moved from the boys to Maya's plain blue uniform, then to her worn shoes. "I don't know what kind of place you came from," Vanessa said, "but in this house children are taught manners." Maya lowered her head. "Yes, Miss Cross." Vanessa smiled, but there was no kindness in it. "That's another thing. Stop speaking like you belong in conversations. You answer when spoken to. You clean, you carry trays. That is your place." At the far end of the room, Nathan sat near the window dressed in a dark sweater, black glasses hiding his eyes. His hand rested lightly on his cane. He did not move, but his jaw tightened. Maya picked up a napkin and gently wiped Caleb's mouth. The boy looked up at her with wet eyes. "May," he whispered. Vanessa's face hardened. "What did he call you?" Maya's hands stopped. "He's still learning words," she said quickly. "He doesn't mean—" "I asked what he called you." The room seemed to shrink. Caleb clutched the edge of his tray. Maya swallowed. "Sometimes he calls me Maya. Sometimes May." Vanessa pushed back her chair. The legs scraped across the floor, sharp and ugly. She walked toward Maya slowly, each step controlled, each breath filled with disgust. "You are not their mother," Vanessa said. "I know that." "No. I don't think you do." Vanessa leaned close enough that Maya could smell her perfume, sweet and expensive, almost choking. "You are hired help. A maid, a girl I could replace before lunch if I wanted to. Do not let these children confuse your little heart." Maya's eyes burned, but she kept them down. The twins began to cry. Vanessa turned toward them. "And you too," she snapped. "Stop crying." "I am tired of hearing it." Connor sobbed harder. Without thinking, Maya stepped between Vanessa and the boys. It was a small movement, barely half a step. But Nathan saw it. So did Vanessa. For 1 second no one breathed. Then Vanessa laughed. "Oh," she said. "Look at you. Standing there like some brave little saint." Maya's hands trembled at her sides. "I just don't want them scared." Vanessa's smile disappeared. "They should be scared. Fear teaches people where they belong." She reached past Maya and grabbed Caleb's toy bear from the chair beside him. It was old, soft, and missing one button eye. Nathan had bought it the day the twins came home from the hospital. Caleb screamed. Vanessa held the bear up with 2 fingers like it was dirty. "This house is filled with useless things," she said. Then she dropped it into the trash. Maya gasped. Caleb's tiny face crumpled. Nathan's fingers curled around the cane handle. Every muscle in his body begged him to stand. But he waited. Maya walked to the trash can, reached in and pulled the bear out. She brushed it off with the corner of her apron, then pressed it back into Caleb's arms. Vanessa stared at her. "You really are stupid," she whispered. Maya looked up then. Not boldly. Not angrily. Just enough. Enough for Vanessa to see that she had not broken her. "I'm sorry, Miss Cross," Maya said quietly. "But children should never be punished for wanting comfort." The words were soft, but they landed hard. Vanessa's face darkened. Nathan heard the truth in that silence. Maya had nothing in that house. No money. No power. No protection. And still she stood where kindness was needed. Vanessa had everything. And still she chose cruelty. That afternoon, the mansion grew quiet in the way a house grows quiet after a storm. Vanessa had gone upstairs, her anger still hanging in the air like smoke. The dining room had been cleaned. The broken silence had been swept away with the crumbs and cold toast. But Caleb still held the old bear against his chest. Connor would not let go of Maya's skirt. Maya carried them both to the nursery, one on each hip, though her arms ached and her back burned. She did not complain. She did not slow down. She only whispered, "I've got you, you're safe." Nathan watched from the end of the hallway. Black glasses on, cane in hand. A blind man to the world. But he saw the way Caleb buried his face against Maya's shoulder. He saw Connor's tiny fingers grip the fabric of her uniform like a lifeline. He saw Maya press her cheek gently against the boy's hair, not for show, not because anyone was watching. Because love does not always announce itself. Sometimes it just carries two frightened children up the stairs. Inside the nursery, Maya lowered the boys onto the rug. The room was filled with expensive toys, polished shelves, and framed photographs from happier days. But the twins ignored all of it. They wanted her. Maya sat on the floor with them, smoothing Caleb's curls, wiping Connor's cheeks with the corner of her sleeve. "You didn't do anything wrong," she said softly. Caleb sniffled. "Bad?" Maya's heart cracked. "No, sweetheart. You are not bad." Connor looked toward the door, afraid Vanessa might return. Maya noticed. So she stood, walked over, and closed it gently. Not locked. Just closed. A small shield. A quiet promise. Then she went to the toy chest and pulled out a set of wooden blocks. "Come on," she whispered. "Let's build something strong." The boys hesitated at first. Then Connor placed one block on the rug. Caleb added another. Maya smiled like it mattered more than anything in the world. "That's it. One piece at a time." From the hallway, Nathan felt something twist inside him. He had given his sons everything money could buy. A mansion. Private doctors. The best clothes. A nursery bigger than most apartments. But he had not given them what Maya was giving them now. Safety. Warmth. A lap to crawl into when the world became too loud. For the first time since the accident, Nathan did not feel like a billionaire playing a dangerous game. He felt like a father who had almost missed the truth inside his own home. Later, when the sun began to sink behind the tall windows, Maya gave the twins a bath. She rolled up her sleeves, laughed softly when Caleb splashed water onto her face, and wrapped Connor in a towel like a little burrito. For a few minutes the boys laughed. Real laughter. Small and bright. The sound traveled down the hallway and reached Nathan like music. He stopped outside the nursery door. Maya was reading to them now. Her voice was low and warm, turning a simple bedtime story into a safe place. Caleb's head rested on her knee. Connor's hand was tucked inside hers. "You're not alone," Maya whispered when she thought no one could hear. "Not while I'm here." Nathan closed his eyes behind the dark glasses. Vanessa wanted his fortune. Maya only wanted his children to stop crying. And in that moment, Nathan understood something that changed everything. Family was not always blood. Sometimes, family was the person who stood between your children and the coldest heart in the house. The next morning, Vanessa Cross began planning the boys' disappearance from the life she wanted. Not with shouting. Not with slammed doors. This time she used silence. She sat alone in the sunroom with a laptop open in front of her, a cup of untouched coffee beside her hand, and a smile so small it barely moved her lips. Outside, the garden was bright and perfect. Roses climbed the white trellis. A fountain whispered in the center of the courtyard. Inside, Vanessa searched for boarding schools. Far away. Expensive. Private. Cold enough to sound respectable. Nathan stood in the hallway, hidden behind the half-open door, his dark glasses covering eyes that missed nothing. He had followed the sound of her voice after hearing her make a call. "Yes," Vanessa said into the phone. "2 boys. Toddlers now, but I want their names placed on the waiting list as early as possible." She paused, tapping one red fingernail against the table. "No, their father will not object. He's not in a position to manage those decisions anymore." Nathan's chest tightened. Caleb and Connor were in the nursery down the hall, building another crooked tower with Maya. They were laughing again. Small bursts of happiness. Fragile like candlelight in a drafty room. And here, Vanessa sat calmly, arranging a future where those little voices would be shipped away like unwanted furniture. She leaned back in her chair. "I need a school with limited family visits," she continued. "Structured environment, strict staff. No emotional dependence. No emotional dependence." Nathan felt those 3 words cut deeper than he expected. His sons were 2 years old. They still reached for a hand when they walked downstairs. They still cried when thunder shook the windows. They still fell asleep faster when someone rubbed their backs and whispered that morning would come soon. Vanessa did not see children. She saw a problem. A problem with blonde curls, soft pajamas, and the same eyes as their father. After ending the call, she opened a leather folder on the table. Nathan recognized it immediately. Wedding documents. Property plans. Legal drafts. Pages filled with signatures she wanted and power she intended to take. Then her phone rang. This time her voice changed. It became warmer. Lower. Almost playful. "Don't worry," she said. "Once Nathan signs everything, the twins will be gone before summer." Nathan went still. A man's voice mumbled through the speaker, too faint to hear clearly. Vanessa laughed softly. "No, I'm not raising another woman's children. I've waited too long to become Mrs. Whitmore just to spend my life listening to toddlers scream in the hall. She stood and walked to the window, looking out over the estate as if she already owned every inch of it. The company, the house, the accounts, all of it will be under my control. The boys have trust protections, yes, but children can be managed. Sent away. Kept quiet. People do it every day. Nathan's hand tightened around his cane. For a moment the hallway blurred. Not because of blindness. Because of rage. He had faced ruthless men in boardrooms. Men who lied with smiles. Men who would burn a company to save $1. But this was different. This was not business. This was his children. Behind him a soft sound came from the nursery. Caleb giggled. Maya whispered, "Careful, careful, don't let it fall." Then blocks tumbled across the floor and Connor squealed with laughter. Vanessa heard it too. Her face hardened. "That sound," she muttered. "I cannot wait for this house to be quiet." Nathan stepped back into the shadow before she turned. He had needed proof. Now he had something worse. A motive. Vanessa did not just want his money. She wanted to erase the only people who stood between her and the life she believed she deserved. And that night, while Maya tucked Caleb and Connor into bed, Nathan stood outside their door, listening to their sleepy breathing. He made another silent promise. No one would send his sons away. No one would steal their home. And Vanessa Cross would soon discover that a father's patience is not weakness. It is a trap waiting to close. That evening, the mansion stopped feeling like a home. It felt like a place holding its breath. Nathan Whitmore stayed near the second-floor landing, one hand on his cane, his dark glasses hiding the storm behind his eyes. Downstairs, Vanessa Cross moved through the living room with a glass of wine in her hand, speaking to no one, smiling at nothing. She believed she was alone. She was not. In the nursery, Caleb and Connor had grown restless. They were 2 years old. They did not understand legal papers, bank accounts, or the cold plans adults made behind closed doors. They only knew that Maya had left the room for a few minutes to warm their milk and the hallway outside looked big and bright. So they wandered out. Caleb carried his worn bear. Connor followed, dragging a blue blanket behind him. Their little feet padded across the polished floor toward the top of the stairs. Nathan saw them first. His body moved before his mind finished the thought. But then Vanessa appeared from the hallway. She was closer. For one brief second, Nathan thought she would scoop them up, hold them, laugh at the trouble they had found. Instead, she stopped. And watched. Connor stepped too close to the first stair. His sock slipped. Nathan's heart slammed against his ribs. "Connor," Vanessa said sharply. The boy froze, startled by her voice. His heel hung over the edge. Vanessa took one slow sip of wine. "You see," she muttered. "This is exactly why this house needs order." She did not reach for him. She did not run. She did not even set down the glass. Then Maya came around the corner carrying 2 small cups of milk. The cups hit the floor. Milk splashed across the marble. No. She ran so fast, her shoes slid. She grabbed Connor around the waist and pulled him back just as his body tilted forward. Caleb burst into tears. Connor clung to Maya's neck, shaking so hard his blanket slipped from his fingers. Maya dropped to her knees, holding both boys against her chest. "It's okay. It's okay. I've got you. I've got you." Vanessa stared at the spilled milk. Not at the child who had almost fallen. At the milk. "Look what you did," she snapped. Maya looked up breathless. "He almost fell down the stairs." "And whose fault is that?" Vanessa said. Her voice turned sharp as broken glass. "You were hired to watch them. I only stepped away for 1 minute. 1 minute is enough for useless help to prove why they stay poor." Maya's face went pale. Nathan's grip tightened around the cane until his knuckles turned white. Vanessa stepped closer, lowering her voice. "Do you think I don't see what you're doing, playing mother? Playing saint? Making them run to you every time they cry?" Maya held the boys tighter. They were scared. Vanessa leaned down until her face was inches from Maya's. "No. You are teaching them to choose you." Caleb sobbed into Maya's shoulder. Vanessa's eyes moved to him, cold and impatient. "If they keep acting like this, I'll make sure they are sent somewhere strict. Somewhere they learn that crying does not get them rescued." Maya's voice trembled, but she did not look away. "They are babies." Vanessa smiled. "They are obstacles." The word landed in the hallway like a gunshot. Nathan stopped breathing. There it was. The truth. Not hidden behind manners. Not wrapped in silk. Vanessa did not simply want his fortune. She wanted his children gone. And if Maya stood in the way, Vanessa would destroy her too. For the first time, Nathan understood the danger was no longer coming. It was already inside his house. Wearing perfume. Holding a wine glass. Smiling at children like they were mistakes. Her plan was no longer a suspicion. It had a date. It had signatures. And it had Nathan Whitmore's name printed across the top of every page. The next morning, Vanessa crosswalked through the mansion like a woman already wearing a crown. Her heels struck the marble floor with calm measured clicks. She did not shout. She did not threaten. She smiled. That frightened Nathan more. Because cruelty with a smile was always more dangerous. At 10 o'clock sharp, a black town car rolled through the front gates. Nathan watched from the upstairs window as a gray-haired attorney stepped out carrying a leather briefcase. Behind him came a younger man in a navy suit holding a folder thick enough to carry an entire future. Vanessa met them at the door. "Mr. Whitmore is in the study," she said sweetly. "Please remember, he tires easily now. I'll help guide the conversation." Nathan stood in the shadows above the staircase, dark glasses in place, cane in hand. Help guide the conversation. That was how Vanessa described control. A few minutes later, Nathan entered the study like a man moving through darkness. He let his cane tap gently against the floor. He lowered himself into the leather chair behind the desk. Vanessa came to his side at once, placing one hand on his shoulder. To anyone watching, she looked devoted. Nathan felt her fingers tighten just enough to remind him who she believed was in charge. The attorney cleared his throat. "Mr. Whitmore, we're here to discuss temporary authority over selected financial and corporate matters." Temporary. Nathan almost smiled. Men in suits love gentle words for dangerous things. Vanessa leaned forward. "Nathan understands the need. With his condition, decisions cannot wait. The hotels, the investment accounts, the overseas holdings, everything needs stability." The younger man opened the folder and spread the documents across the desk. Nathan saw every page. Power of attorney. Voting rights. Emergency access to private accounts. Control over board communications. Authority to approve transfers. And there, near the bottom, a quiet little clause that would allow Vanessa to move funds from protected family accounts into a new management structure. A structure she controlled. Nathan kept his face still. Inside, something cold settled in him. She was not just reaching for comfort. She was reaching for the whole empire. The hotels his father had built from one roadside motel. The company Nathan had carried through recessions, lawsuits, and hostile takeovers. The trust meant to protect Caleb and Connor long after he was gone. Vanessa's voice softened. "Darling, just sign where they tell you. This is only until you recover." Darling. She used the word like a knife wrapped in silk. Nathan turned his head slightly toward her voice. "And if I don't recover?" The room went quiet. Vanessa's hand paused on his shoulder. Then she sighed, slow and sad, performing for the attorneys. "Then I'll make sure everything is handled with dignity." Dignity. Nathan heard the lie beneath it. He heard boarding schools, closed doors, empty nurseries. Maya's footsteps passed outside the study just then, soft and careful. One of the twins laughed down the hall. For one heartbeat, Nathan let that sound steady him. Then he reached for the pen. Vanessa's breath changed. Excitement. Greed, trying to stay hidden. Nathan touched the paper, let the pen hover above the signature line, and said, "Read it to me first." Vanessa blinked. The attorney looked up. "All of it," Nathan said. His voice was calm. Too calm. Vanessa's smile stiffened. "Nathan, that could take hours." "I have nowhere to go," he replied. The room held its breath. For the first time, Vanessa's mask slipped. Only a little. But Nathan saw it. The irritation. The panic. The fear that the blind man might still be harder to move than she thought. And behind his dark glasses, Nathan Whitmore knew one thing for certain. Vanessa had just stepped deeper into the trap. Now he only needed her to keep talking. That night, Nathan Whitmore stopped waiting for luck. Luck had already brought him too close to disaster. He sat alone in the study long after Vanessa had gone upstairs, the unsigned documents still spread across his desk like poisoned flowers. The house was silent except for the old clock near the fireplace and the soft hum of the security system hidden behind the walls. Nathan removed his dark glasses. For the first time all day, his eyes were uncovered. Sharp. Steady. Wide awake. He opened the bottom drawer of his desk and pulled out a small black phone. Not his public phone. Not the one Vanessa checked when she thought he was sleeping. This one had no name attached to it, no shared account, no access she could trace. He tapped once. The screen lit up. Camera 1. The front hall. Camera 2. The nursery corridor. Camera 3. The dining room. Camera 4. The sunroom. Then came the audio files. Every whisper. Every threat. Every word Vanessa believed had disappeared into the walls. Nathan leaned back in his chair and listened. Vanessa's voice filled the room, low and cruel. "Once Nathan signs everything, the twins will be gone before summer." He closed his eyes. Not because he needed to remember. Because hearing it again hurt worse. Then came another recording. "You are hired help. A maid. A girl I could replace before lunch." Maya's silence followed. Then Caleb crying. Nathan opened his eyes. The pain in his face hardened into something colder. Evidence. That was what he had now. Not suspicion. Not anger. Proof. For years Nathan had built hotels in cities where powerful men smiled with one hand and hid knives with the other. He had learned early that truth meant nothing without documentation. A handshake could be denied. A conversation could be twisted. A tear could be called drama. But video did not tremble. Audio did not forget. So, before Vanessa could take his company, before she could take his sons, before she could destroy Maya, Nathan had turned his own mansion into a witness. He had arranged it quietly through people who still answered only to him. Tiny cameras hidden in smoke detectors. Microphones tucked inside decorative vents. A secure server locked behind encryption that Vanessa would never know existed. And every device was controlled from that black phone with voice commands when others were nearby and a screen Nathan only used behind locked doors. To the world he was a helpless blind man. Inside his own home he was watching everything. A soft knock touched the study door. Nathan moved fast. Dark glasses back on. Phone hidden beneath the desk. Posture stiff. Breathing slower. "Come in," he said. The door opened. Maya stood there holding a folded blanket in her arms. Her face was tired. Her eyes were still red from the day, but she forced a gentle smile. "I'm sorry, Mr. Whitmore. I saw the light under your door. I thought you might be cold." Nathan turned his head toward her voice. "You should be sleeping, Maya." "So should you, sir." For a moment neither of them spoke. The room felt softer with her in it. Not safer. Just softer. Maya placed the blanket over the back of the chair near him. "The boys are asleep. Caleb still has his bear?" Nathan's throat tightened. "Thank you." She nodded and started to leave. "Maya," he said. She stopped at the door. "If anything ever happens in this house, anything that frightens you, you come to me?" Her lips parted slightly. Maybe she wondered how a blind man could protect anyone. But she did not question him. "Yes, sir," she whispered. When the door closed, Nathan sat motionless in the dark. Then he reached for the hidden phone again. Vanessa thought the papers would give her power. She had no idea the walls were already testifying against her. The next morning, Maya Brooks entered Nathan Whitmore's room before sunrise. She did not know he was awake. She moved quietly, careful not to let the tea tray rattle in her hands. The room was dim, washed in pale, gray light from the tall curtains. Nathan sat in the armchair by the window, dark glasses on cane resting beside him, his face turned toward the garden like a man listening to a world he could no longer see. To anyone else he looked broken. To Vanessa he looked useless. But Maya did not look at him that way. She set the tray down softly. "Good morning, Mr. Whitmore," she said. "I brought your tea. No sugar. Just like yesterday." Nathan turned his head slightly. "You remembered." Maya smiled, though he pretended not to see it. "It's my job to remember." "No," Nathan said quietly. "Most people only remember what benefits them." Maya paused. She did not know what to say to that. So she did what she always did. She chose kindness over clever words. She adjusted the blanket over his knees, not too tight, not careless. Then she moved the small table closer so his hand could reach the cup without searching. She placed his medication beside it, arranged in the right order with a glass of water just inches away. Simple things. Tiny things. But Nathan noticed every one. Vanessa never did. When Vanessa came in 10 minutes later, she did not knock. She swept into the room wearing a fitted cream dress, phone in one hand, irritation already sitting on her face. "Are you still sitting here?" she asked Nathan. Maya stepped back at once. Nathan kept his voice calm. "Good morning to you, too, Vanessa." Vanessa sighed as if his words exhausted her. The attorney called again. "We cannot keep delaying everything because you suddenly enjoy asking people to read documents for hours." Maya lowered her eyes. Nathan heard the insult beneath the sentence. "Because you are a burden. Because you are in the way. Because you should sign and disappear." Vanessa picked up the teacup, sniffed it and frowned. "This is cold." "It was just made," Maya said softly. Vanessa turned on her. "Did I ask you?" The room tightened. Maya's hands folded in front of her apron. "No, ma'am." Vanessa set the cup down hard enough that tea splashed into the saucer. Nathan's jaw flexed. Maya noticed. Not the anger. The spill? She quickly reached for a cloth and wiped the saucer before it could drip onto his hand. Then with the same gentle care, she guided his fingers toward the dry handle. "There you are, sir," she whispered. Nathan felt the warmth of the cup. He felt something else too. Respect. Maya never treated his blindness like weakness. She never spoke over him. Never grabbed his arm without warning. Never made him feel like furniture in his own house. Vanessa looked at the scene and laughed under her breath. "How touching," she said. "The maid has become your nurse." Maya's cheeks flushed. Nathan did not move. Vanessa walked closer and leaned down near his ear, her perfume sharp and expensive. "You should be grateful I'm still here," she said. "Most women would have left after the accident." Maya looked up. For a moment pain flashed across her face. Not for herself. For him. Nathan saw it clearly. And that hurt more than Vanessa's cruelty. Because Maya believed he could not see how ugly the room had become. After Vanessa left, the silence stayed behind. Maya picked up the tray with trembling hands. "I'm sorry, sir," she said. Nathan turned toward her. "For what?" "For how people speak when they think someone can't defend themselves." The word struck him deep. Maya carried the tray to the door, then stopped. "And for what it's worth," she added softly, "you are not a burden." Nathan did not answer right away. If he had spoken too soon, his voice might have betrayed him. Maya left the room quietly. Nathan sat still in the morning light, his untouched tea warming his hands. Vanessa wanted his signature. Maya wanted him to keep his dignity. And in that simple difference, Nathan saw the truth more clearly than ever. That afternoon, Nathan Whitmore decided to make the house choose sides. Not with lawyers. Not with cameras. With one cry for help. The rain began just after 4, beating against the tall windows like nervous fingers. The sky over the estate turned gray and heavy. Vanessa was in the main bedroom, trying on a deep green evening dress she had charged to Nathan's card that morning. She turned left then right, admiring herself in the mirror while a delivery box lay open on the bed. Downstairs, Nathan stood inside his private bathroom with the door half open. His hands were steady. His breathing was not. He took the real medicine from the cabinet, removed the tablets and replaced them with harmless vitamins he had prepared days earlier. Then he put the bottle back where anyone could find it. This was not about the medicine. It was about the reaction. At 4:17 he let the bottle drop. It hit the marble floor with a sharp crack. Then Nathan fell beside it. Hard enough to sound real. Not hard enough to hurt. He pressed one hand to his temple and forced his voice into a broken shout. "Vanessa." Silence. He waited. Rain struck the glass. "Vanessa, please." Upstairs, her music only grew louder. Nathan heard her heels cross the bedroom floor. Heard the closet door slide open. Heard her phone ring. Then her voice floated down the hall, bored and irritated. "What is it now?" "My head," Nathan called. "The medication. I need it." A pause. Then Vanessa sigh hid. "Ask Maya. She's with the boys." Another pause. Longer this time. Then wait. Nathan closed his eyes behind the dark glasses. Wait. A man she claimed to love was on the floor begging for help. And she told him to wait. A minute later, Maya appeared at the doorway. She had flour on one sleeve from preparing snacks for Caleb and Connor. The moment she saw Nathan on the floor, the color drained from her face. "Mr. Whitmore." She dropped to her knees beside him. Her hands hovered, afraid to touch him wrong. "What happened? Can you hear me?" "My head," he whispered. "Medicine." "Cabinet." Maya moved fast. She found the bottle, opened it, then froze. "It's empty." Nathan gave a weak breath. Vanessa said there was none left. Maya looked toward the window. Rain sheeted down the glass. The nearest pharmacy was nearly half a mile away, and the driver had taken Vanessa's car for detailing. Maya did not hesitate. "I'll get it." Nathan caught her wrist lightly. "It's raining." Her eyes filled with fear, but her voice stayed firm. "Then I'll run." No umbrella. No coat. No complaint. Maya ran out through the service door and into the storm. Nathan stayed on the floor listening to the house. 10 minutes passed. Then 15. At 21 minutes, the back door burst open. Maya stumbled inside, soaked from head to toe, hair stuck to her face, mud on the hem of her blue uniform. In one hand she clutched a small white and blue pharmacy bag like it was the most precious thing she owned. "I got it," she gasped. "They were closing. I begged them." She tore open the box, filled a glass with water and knelt beside him again. "Please? Take it." Slowly. Nathan swallowed the harmless pill from his own bottle. Maya stayed there, trembling from the cold, one hand on his shoulder, the other brushing damp hair from his forehead. "Breathe," she whispered. "You're going to be okay. I'm here." And then Vanessa appeared in the doorway wearing a green facial mask and a silk robe. "What is all this noise?" she snapped. Maya looked up, still soaked, still shaking. "Mr. Whitmore had a crisis. I went for his medicine." Vanessa's eyes dropped to the pharmacy bag. Then to the mud on the floor. Not once did she ask if Nathan was alive. She only said, "Clean this mess." The mud had barely dried on the floor before Vanessa Cross found her next weapon. It was not enough that Maya had run through the storm. It was not enough that Maya had done what Vanessa refused to do. Vanessa had seen the look on Nathan's face when Maya knelt beside him. She had seen the quiet trust in the room. She had heard Caleb and Connor calling for Maya from upstairs, crying because they knew something was wrong. And Vanessa understood one thing clearly. Maya was becoming dangerous. Not because she had money, not because she had power. Because she had Nathan's respect. The next morning Vanessa waited until the house was busy. The cook was in the pantry. The driver was outside washing the town car. Maya was upstairs helping the twins get dressed. Nathan sat in the study, dark glasses on, pretending to listen to the morning news. But he was watching. Vanessa slipped into the room like a shadow in silk. She moved toward the glass display case near the bookshelf where Nathan kept a few personal items from his father. Cufflinks, a gold pen, an old pocket knife, and a rare silver Rolex Nathan had worn on the day his sons were born. Vanessa opened the case carefully. She took the watch. For 1 second she held it in her palm, admiring the weight of it. Then she smiled. Cold. Satisfied. Nathan's fingers tightened on the armrest, but he did not move. Vanessa crossed the room and walked toward the service hallway. A few minutes later she returned empty-handed. Then she screamed. A sharp practice scream. Nathan. Footsteps rushed through the house. Maya appeared first, carrying Connor on her hip. Caleb followed behind her, still holding his bear. The cook came from the pantry. The driver stepped inside from the rain-damp driveway. Vanessa stood beside the display case, one hand pressed dramatically to her chest. My God, she said. It's gone. Nathan turned his head slowly. What is gone? Your father's Rolex. The room went silent. Maya's face changed at once. Not guilt. Fear. The fear of someone poor who knows the truth does not always protect you. Vanessa turned toward her. You were in here last night. Maya blinked. I brought Mr. Whitmore a blanket. And you were alone. No. Mr. Whitmore was here. Vanessa laughed softly. He is blind, Maya. The words hit the room like a slap. Maya looked toward Nathan, wounded by the cruelty of it more than the accusation. I didn't take anything, she whispered. Vanessa stepped closer. Then you won't mind if we check your room. Maya went pale. The twins began to cry. Nathan stayed still, though every part of him burned. They walked to Maya's small room near the back stairs. It was clean, simple, almost painfully bare. A narrow bed. A folded sweater. A Bible on the nightstand. 2 drawings from the boys taped to the wall. Vanessa went straight to the drawer. Too straight. She pulled it open and gasped. There beneath Maya's folded uniform lay the silver Rolex. The cook covered her mouth. The driver looked away. Maya stared at the watch as if it had appeared from a nightmare. No, she said. No, I swear I've never seen that in my room. Vanessa's voice turned soft, almost tender. That made it worse. Oh, Maya. After everything this family gave you. Maya shook her head, tears spilling now. I didn't steal it. Mr. Whitmore, please. I would never. Caleb broke free and ran to her, wrapping his tiny arms around her leg. No, take May, he sobbed. Connor cried from the hallway. Vanessa's eyes flashed with irritation. Get them away from her. Nathan rose slowly from his chair, leaning on his cane. The room froze. He let the silence stretch until Vanessa looked almost pleased, thinking the blind man had finally chosen her side. Then Nathan spoke, quiet and controlled. Maya will not leave this house tonight. Vanessa's smile vanished. But Nathan. I said not tonight. Maya covered her mouth with both hands, shaking. Nathan turned his hidden eyes toward Vanessa. He had seen the theft. He had seen the setup. And now he had the proof. But not yet. Not here. Not in a hallway where Vanessa could still run from the truth. He would let her believe she had won a little longer. Because soon the whole house would see who the real thief was. The gala was Vanessa Cross's stage. By 7 that evening the Whitmore mansion no longer looked like a home. It looked like a kingdom waiting for a queen. Crystal chandeliers burned above the ballroom. White roses climbed the stair railings. A string quartet played near the tall windows, their music floating over the sound of champagne glasses and polite laughter. Outside, black cars rolled through the iron gates one after another, bringing investors, board members, attorneys and society guests who had known Nathan Whitmore for years. But that night they were not looking at Nathan. Vanessa made sure of it. She stood at the center of the room in a silver gown that caught every flash of every camera. Her hand rested lightly on Nathan's arm as if she were guiding him, protecting him, loving him. Nathan wore his dark glasses. His cane tapped softly against the marble. To the room he looked weakened. To Vanessa, he looked finished. And that was why she smiled so beautifully. Thank you all for coming, she said, lifting her glass. The ballroom quieted. Nathan stood beside her, face calm, body still. Behind the black lenses, his eyes moved across the crowd. He saw the board chairman near the fireplace. He saw the company attorney holding a folder. He saw 2 reporters Vanessa had invited without telling him. This was not a celebration. This was a takeover dressed in candlelight. Vanessa turned toward the guests with practiced sadness. As many of you know, Nathan's condition has changed all of our lives, she said, her voice soft enough to sound noble. He has carried this company for decades. He built hotels that changed cities, he created jobs opportunities and a legacy. A few people nodded. Nathan said nothing. Vanessa's fingers tightened around his sleeve. But now she continued, he needs peace. He needs rest. And he needs someone he trusts to protect what he built. There it was. The first move. A murmur moved through the room. Vanessa lowered her eyes, letting the silence work for her. Nathan and I have discussed this privately, she said. After our wedding, I will be taking a more active role in the Whitmore Group. For continuity. For stability. For family. Family. Nathan felt the word rot in the air. Caleb and Connor were upstairs asleep under Maya's watch. They were not part of Vanessa's family. Not in her mind. They were problems to be removed once the signatures were dry. Across the room, the attorney shifted uncomfortably. One of the investors raised his glass. To stability. Others followed. To stability. Vanessa smiled as if she had already won. Then she leaned close to Nathan and whispered so softly no one else could hear, "See, they're ready for me." Nathan turned his head slightly toward her. For one dangerous second he almost answered. Instead he let the silence stretch. Vanessa mistook it for weakness. She stepped forward again. "There will be changes," she announced. "Necessary changes. Some staff will be replaced. Certain family arrangements will be handled privately. The house, the company, and Nathan's affairs need one clear voice now. Her voice. Her rules. Her empire." Near the service entrance, Maya stood in a plain black uniform holding a tray of untouched glasses. Vanessa had ordered her to serve that night not because she needed help but because she wanted Maya to feel small in front of everyone. Maya kept her eyes down. But Nathan saw her. He saw the shame Vanessa tried to place on her. He saw the quiet strength Vanessa could never understand. Then the ballroom doors opened. A cold draft swept across the candles. Vanessa's smile froze. And every head in the room turned. The ballroom doors opened like the house itself had taken one last breath. Maya Brooks stood in the doorway. But she was not the quiet maid Vanessa had ordered to serve champagne. Her black uniform was torn at the sleeve. Her hair had come loose around her face. A dark bruise was rising across her left cheek and a thin line of blood ran from the side of her hand to her wrist. And in her arms were Caleb and Connor. Both boys clung to her neck, shaking their faces red from crying. Caleb still held his old bear against his chest. Connor's little fingers were locked in Maya's collar as if letting go would make the nightmare return. The applause died one clap at a time. First, the investors stopped. Then the board members. Then the reporters lowered their phones, suddenly unsure whether they were filming a gala or a crime. Vanessa's smile froze. For a few seconds she did not move. She just stared at Maya as if a ghost had walked into the room carrying the truth. Nathan felt the air change. He could hear the string quartet stumble then stop. He could hear a glass being set down too hard. He could hear the small broken breathing of his sons across the ballroom. But he said nothing yet. Maya took one step forward, then another. She was limping. Every step cost her something. The hem of her uniform was ripped. Her knees were scraped. There were tiny cuts across her palms and one of them was still bleeding. Nathan understood before she said a word. The locked wine room. The small window near the ceiling. The thick glass. The kind of glass a desperate woman would break with her bare hands if two terrified children were trapped inside. Maya had not just found the twins. She had fought her way to them. She had crawled through pain to bring them back. Vanessa's hand tightened around her champagne glass. "What is she doing here?" she snapped. Her voice flew through the microphone, sharp and ugly, reaching every corner of the ballroom. Maya flinched, but she did not run. Caleb sobbed, "Daddy." That one word broke something in Nathan's chest. Vanessa heard it too. Panic flashed across her face, quick and bright. Then she turned it into rage. "Security," she shouted. "Get her out." She took the children. "Look at her. She's unstable." Two guards stepped forward. Maya backed away, holding the boys tighter. "No," she whispered. "Please. Don't take them from me." They were locked in the dark. They were screaming. A murmur ran through the room. "Locked in the dark." Vanessa's face drained of color. "That is a lie," she hissed. "She is a thief. A liar. A servant trying to make a scene." The guards kept moving. Maya shut her eyes and turned her body around the twins like a shield. Then Nathan's cane struck the marble floor. Once. Hard. The sound cracked through the ballroom. "Don't touch her." The guards stopped. Everyone turned toward Nathan. He stood beside Vanessa, dark glasses still covering his eyes, but his voice was no longer weak. It was calm. Low. Final. Vanessa stared at him. "Nathan, darling, you don't understand what's happening. Nathan slowly turned his face toward her. "Oh," he said. "I understand perfectly." And for the first time that night Vanessa looked afraid. Nathan Whitmore reached up slowly. The whole ballroom watched his hand rise toward his face. Vanessa stood beside him, frozen, still wearing that silver gown, still trying to hold on to the last few seconds of her perfect lie. "Nathan," she whispered. "Please don't do this." He did not answer. He took off the dark glasses. A gasp moved through the room like wind through dry leaves. His eyes were clear, steady, alive. Vanessa stepped back as if the floor had opened beneath her. "You," her voice cracked. "You can see." Nathan looked straight at her. "I have seen everything." The words hit harder than a shout. Maya stood near the ballroom doors holding Caleb and Connor against her chest. The twins stared at their father, confused, frightened but safe. Caleb's little bear was pressed between them, its worn button eye catching the chandelier light. Vanessa tried to recover. She forced a laugh, small and broken. "He's confused," she said to the guests. "The trauma, the medication, someone call Dr. Reed. He doesn't know what he's saying." Nathan turned his head toward the wall. Lights. The ballroom dimmed. A hidden screen lowered from above the fireplace. The guests looked from Nathan to Vanessa, unsure whether they were about to witness a business announcement or the collapse of a woman who had built her future on cruelty. Then the first video played. Vanessa in the dining room. Her voice sharp. "You are hired help. A maid. A girl I could replace before lunch." Maya's face filled the screen. Silent. Humiliated. Still standing between Vanessa and the twins. The room went still. Then another clip. Vanessa by the stairs holding a glass of wine while Connor stood too close to the edge. Maya running. Maya saving him. Vanessa staring at the spilled milk instead of the child who almost fell. A woman near the front covered her mouth. Someone whispered, "Oh my God." Vanessa shook her head violently. "That's edited. That is not." Nathan raised one hand. The next clip began. Vanessa slipping into the study. Opening the display case. Taking the silver Rolex. Walking down the service hall. Hiding it in Maya's room. Maya's breath caught. The cook began to cry. The driver looked at the floor, ashamed that he had doubted her. Vanessa's face turned white. Nathan did not look away from her. "You tried to destroy an innocent woman because she showed my children more love than you ever could." Then came the final video. The wine room. Caleb and Connor crying in the dark. Maya, outside the locked door, pounding with both fists. Vanessa's voice cold and clear from the hallway. "Let them cry. They need to learn no one comes every time they scream." A sound rose from the ballroom. Not anger yet. Shock. The kind that makes people forget how to breathe. On the screen, Maya broke the small side window with a metal candle stand. Glass shattered. Her hand bled. She climbed through anyway, scraping her arms, tearing her uniform, reaching for the twins in the dark. Caleb cried out, "May May." Maya pulled them close. "I'm here," she whispered on the recording. "I'm here. Nobody is leaving you." The video stopped. The lights came back on. Vanessa stood alone in the center of the ballroom, stripped of every mask. Nathan put his glasses into his pocket. He walked toward Maya without the cane. One step. Then another. The room watched the blind man who had never been blind cross the marble floor to the woman everyone had been told was nothing. He stopped in front of her and looked at his sons. Then at Maya. "You protected my children," he said, his voice breaking for the first time. "When I should have protected you." Maya shook her head, tears running down her bruised face. "They were scared," she whispered. "I couldn't leave them." Nathan turned back to Vanessa. And now his voice was no longer broken. It was steel. "Vanessa crossed this house, this company, and my children were never yours." The ballroom doors opened behind her. 2 uniformed officers stepped inside. For the first time all night Vanessa had nowhere left to perform. Vanessa Cross did not scream when the officers reached her. She looked around the ballroom, searching for one friendly face. There was none. The same people who had toasted her minutes earlier now stepped back as if her silver gown had caught fire. The handcuffs clicked softly, but in that silence the sound felt louder than thunder. Nathan stood beside Maya, one arm around Caleb, the other holding Connor close. The boys were still shaking, but they were safe. Maya wiped her tears with her injured hand and Nathan gently stopped her. "Let someone take care of you now," he whispered. Months later the mansion no longer felt cold. The chandeliers still shined. The marble still gleamed. But now laughter filled the halls. Caleb and Connor chased their toy cars across the floor and Maya no longer wore a servant's uniform. She sat at the breakfast table with them, her hand wrapped around a warm cup of coffee finally belonging somewhere. Nathan did not rebuild his life with money. He rebuilt it with truth. And with the woman who had protected his children when she had nothing to gain. Life teaches us this: when someone loses power, status, or strength, the people around them reveal their real hearts. Some people love what you own. A few rare people love who you are. Never confuse attention with loyalty. Never mistake beauty for kindness. And never underestimate the quiet person who stands up when everyone else stays silent. What would you have done if you were in Maya's place? Share your thoughts in the comments and subscribe for more emotional stories that remind us what real love, courage, and family truly mean.